Daily Mail, right up the top there, royal pullout, yeah, royal takedown more like. What's the truth about Prince Philip's affairs? Well, he's always liked to put himself around, and he's not bothered whether it's male, female or children. The main headline. Don't betray your voters. Tory rebels frustrating Brexit face backlash from their own grassroots and fellow MPs who tell them. They betray the voters every everyone was saying don't vote against, don't vote for the budget where the poor, the disabled got cuts, and even though they were screaming it, taking hundreds of thousands of pounds in benefits as far as we're concerned, but they call them costs or whatever, they still voted to cut it, so they always betray us. Bottom there, exclusive. My children want daddy back by wife of missing explorer. Well, if he's gone looking for, in the Amazon forest, headhunters, I would suggest he's probably found them. And do you think they're going to go, oh, it's okay, it's a reporter, don't cut his head off, let's just see what he's got to say first. No, they'll have gone, nice head, not seen one that colour before, let's have it. It's just a reality check. The scum. Well, apparently it's Jesus Christ. Furious Greg's changed Jesus for sausage roll. How that's on the front page, I have no idea, but what's a sausage roll got to do with Christ? Exclusive TV scandal. BBC News Channel staff are sleeping on the job. Here is the snooze. Well, that's because they're ignoring the real stories and having to invent stories of absolute junk that nobody wants to read, whilst distracting from the fact of all the stuff that goes on in the BBC, because they're certainly not short of stories there, no matter stuff they get up to. Then the obligatory half-naked bird on the left there, I've got plenty up toff. The Zionist papers just doing their usual thing, distracting us with nude and that sort of stuff. The rise of luxury advent calendars. I don't think so. That's absolutely ridiculous. Love wins Australia's equal marriage party. I've got a feeling there's one of their dirty shits behind that. It is, of course, the Guardian, as you can see. Mugabe's power ebbs away after military seized control. Well, this is a time of change. I must admit I didn't see that coming myself, but if it is the way it is, whenever a dictator is toppled by the military, it usually ends up being worse than the dictator they had in the first place. Over on the right hand side there, call for MPs to investigate Russia's role in Brexit vote. Told you, it has to be in every paper. It's the unwritten rule by them. They've got to put it out there so the public thinks there is a Brexit. And of course, this is going to be saying, I'm not going to bother reading it. This is going to be saying along the lines of, Russia put tweets out and this out about Brexit, blah, blah, blah. We can make up our own mind, and we did. And we said we want out. So no matter what scam you're trying to pull, it's not going to work. You've been sussed. You're a bunch of crooks. Game over very soon. Daily Mirror. Piers and the serial killer. Well, they're probably on the same par anyway. Kate's beauty secrets on a budget. Are you taking the piss? Parasites on a budget. Tory funding shame. Schools beg parents to pay for pens and glue. Ooh. So the schools can't afford to pay for this stuff, yet they're all on their ridiculous wages. There's millions, if not billions, in offshore accounts. All councils have millions upon. For instance, Nottingham Scum Sucking Council, Nottingham Criminal Cartel, Nottingham City Council. They lost over 50 million in Iceland. That's just one of the offshore accounts they had money in. They've got millions and millions in offshore accounts, and yet they're still chasing you for 10 quid council tax or whatever, and yet the corruption is rife. I know you lot can see it, but it's time that we all stepped up and started voicing our opinions. Head pleads for 190 a year per pupil for basics in the PM's backyard. They've got more than they've got more than enough money to cover everything we need 10 times over. But that would make us all happy and content, and they don't want that. They want us in the shit, which is where they're trying to drag us. So it's up to us to make sure that we get it out there. Government, criminals. Council, criminals. Police, criminals. Courts, criminals. The Times. Record number of EU workers in Britain despite Brexit vote. What did you expect? Did you actually think that, again, the second time it's been mentioned, I would point out, did you actually think Brexit meant Brexit? Remember these scumbags, these parasites, they plan this stuff 20, 30, 40 and more years in advance. In fact, they're trying to drag us into World War III at the moment, and if you read Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma, in that it states how to take the world into 3 world wars. They've managed 2 of them. Are you going to let them take them to a 3rd? Because the 3rd will be the final one for us. But exactly what they want, because they'll be all in the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases, protected from everything. Mugabe crushed by his own strongmen. Now, pay attention to that picture. That gets used in at least 2 or 3 other papers. It's like you ain't got anyone else over there. Well, if they haven't, where'd the picture come from? Gove using cabinet to audition for Chancellor. You see, it's a game to them. They don't pay for anything because it's all paid by expenses, and then they get 80 to 150 grand a year on top of that. So if they have to travel, say, from Nottingham down to London, covered under expenses. They have to have something to eat, covered under expenses. They have to stop over in a hotel, covered in expenses. They travel back, covered in expenses. They don't even need their wages because everything is covered in expenses. But for you and me, yeah, well, that's a different matter. We're not in with the corrupt criminals, so we have to pay for everything. In fact, we pay their expenses. Yeah, that's right. The poor pay the rich's expenses. The Daily Telegraph. We have spent so long being careful. Is this really change? Not usually. Again, it's the same picture, and that's it in that rag. Nothing of interest in there, apart from down the middle. Mutineers warn May, enshrining Brexit Day in law risk harming Britain's interest. Utter crap. For a start, they can't enshrine it in law. They can only enshrine it in statutes and acts, which are only given consent of law, but given the force of law by consent of the governed. And you're governed if you're on the voters' register. So you're a slave if you're on the voters' register. I keep banging my head on about this, but I know it's getting through, but it's not as quickly as I'd like to see. And of course, then I get asked how to get off it. There are various ways, but you've got to do. It's what you're prepared to do. If you're prepared to challenge it, you're prepared to say that you were put on there against your consent. Well, there's one straight off. So if they just put you on there, like Nottingham criminal cartel tend to do, they put you on it regardless, breaking the law because they need your consent to do it. Then you can get off it by that. If your council does the same, you can get off it. There are other ways as well, but maybe that's for some other time for me to put that part out. Right down the bottom. Iran holding mother as 400 million collateral. Lies and deceit. There's no evidence of that. This is just the paper making up their assumption and saying this is how it is. There's another one down the bottom there. Google backs US ban on foreign election ads. What the F has it got to do with Google? Oh, maybe they just happen to be owned at the very top by those that own the government and tell the government what to do, and that's why it's there. Daily Star. Now this got me because I was looking at this, and you see next to Daily Star it says 20p. Then if you look where it says Daily Star, below the R it says just 30p. So what's going on? Is it 20p or is it 30p? Or don't they expect you to notice that? Anyway, I'm a celeb Scarlet, my love for hero Ant. He spent too much time living the high life, neglected his missus, and now he's a hero. Hey, we can all do that. Sex bomb Molly in firing line. Something to do with strict... Right, so the three headlines in this paper are TV, TV, TV. No news at all. Because down the bottom it's about a poo from The Simpsons. Apparently it's stereotypical Indian or something like that. Oh, God. Daily Express, 10p. Yoga is key to lowering blood pressure. Maybe, but it's a dairy product, so it also could, unfortunately, if you get the wrong sort, it could also be cause cancer. Use cash to save 30,000 lives in UK. Foreign and aid crusade. This is obviously where the government have decided, rather than assist our men, women and children who are on the streets and starving, rather than assist them, give it to some other country, for instance like Mugabes, which they've done before. This just shows they don't care about us. They only care about themselves and their agenda. And their agenda is the extermination of us. Help bring Gaia home. Mother's plea to find missing daughter. Well, been about 3 or 4 days now, maybe longer. That's not looking good. Mugabes toppled. Well, yeah. Now also in there, the top bar there. We do. Australians embrace gay marriage. Now, I've got nothing wrong with that, but this is part of the agenda of the parasites to fuzz the lines between standard man-woman relationships, along with their disgusting agenda that I've talked about too much already. Nick Clegg. May's concessions are synthetic and insecure. Coming for a bloke that was challenged by Bill Malloy about his cover-up of child sex rape, and he turned around and ran away. Yeah, I think we better ignore what these lot are saying now, because this is just distraction, look over here crap, when the real stories, they turn and walk away, they refuse to answer because they're involved in it. And apparently he's also a Russian, he traces his roots back to Russia apparently. That dram busters. Now this is when you know things are getting bad, when they're going after the Scots. Dram busters. Scots to pay more for drinks under world first policy. So they're making something up now, so that if you live in Scotland, it's going to cost you more to buy alcohol. Metro. Same picture again, used in all the other papers. Fall from grace. I don't think he was ever in grace. If what's we've been told about him's true, he's a dictator. If not, well, who knows? Because you just can't believe anything you read in the rags anymore, because it's always to the agenda of the parasitical scum that have been in power for far too long, and their reign of terror, because has been a reign of terror, is coming to an end. This better hurry up and come to an end, because I've had enough of them already. Army takeover breaks Mugabe's 4-decade grip on Zimbabwe. Brussels sticks with British friends to defend Bombardier against US tariffs. What's got to do with Brussels? Remember, we're supposed to be leaving Europe less than 6 months, just over 6 months. We're supposed to be out, but we're not going to be, because we're not meant to be, and that's not going to happen. Some of that General Electric, Tuscan populists, and then prepare for the worst. What they're saying is they're getting ready for their financial crash that's coming. Should have already been here by now, to be honest, but they're going to time it probably just before Christmas, because they like to make sure you have a good one. What they're going to do when they do crash the financial system, they're going to blame it on Brexit. They're going to blame it on Brexit, and that'll be another push. They say maybe we should have another referendum just to make sure we actually do want to leave the EU after all the junk that's gone off now. You can see it coming. You can see that coming. That is the excuse they're going to use when they instigate the financial crash. Which just bear in mind, they control the banks. They can initiate the crash whenever they want. They control the stock market. They sell shares here, put shares over there. Boom, crash, done. Dennis Healy. World events do not occur by accident. They are made to happen, whether it is to do with national issues or commerce, and most of them are staged and managed by those who hold the purse strings.